Welcome back. Intro. Today we're diving into a full review of a car that's as controversial as it is iconic, the Porsche 928. Often overshadowed by its rear-engine sibling, the 911, the 928 was Porsche's bold attempt to redefine what a grand touring car could be. So let's take a closer look at what makes this V8-powered, front-engine Porsche so unique. First up, let's talk about the design. At first glance, the 928 doesn't look like your typical Porsche, and that's by design. Launched in 1978, it was intended to be the successor to the 911, aimed squarely at the luxury GT market rather than hardcore sports car enthusiasts. The body features a long, sweeping hood, pop-up headlights, and a distinctive rounded rear hatch that gives it an unmistakable silhouette. Even decades later, the shape feels futuristic in its own right. Aerodynamics were a key part of the design process, and the 928's drag coefficient was remarkably low for the time. Porsche integrated the bumpers into the bodywork, which was unusual back then and helped give it a clean, modern appearance. Many models came with alloy wheels that perfectly complemented its muscular stance, and the flared fenders gave just a hint of its performance intentions. Inside the car, you'll find a cockpit that was clearly built for grand touring. The 928 was one of the first cars to feature a fully adjustable instrument cluster that moved with the steering wheel, so your gauges always stayed in view. The seats are exceptionally supportive, making long-distance drives genuinely comfortable. Leather was standard on most trims, and the interior materials were typical Porsche, high quality and built to last. The center console angled slightly toward the driver, reinforcing the 928's driver-focused design. In later models like the 928 S4 and GTS, you'll find even more luxurious touches, including improved seat bolstering, upgraded audio systems, and advanced climate control for the era. The rear seats, while not especially roomy, are usable in a pinch, more so than what you'd find in a 911. And thanks to the hatchback design, the trunk space is actually pretty generous for a performance car. Now let's get to what everyone really wants to know about: performance. The 928 came with a variety of engines over its production run, but all of them were V8s. The original 1978 model came with a 4.5-liter V8 producing around 219 horsepower for the US market. That might not sound like much by today's standards, but paired with a relatively lightweight chassis and near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution, it made for a surprisingly agile car. As the years went on, Porsche kept increasing the power. The 928S brought more horsepower and better handling. The S4, introduced in the late 1980s, had a 5.0-liter V8 with around 316 horsepower. Then came the GTS in the early 90s, which pushed the envelope even further with a 5.4-liter V8 producing up to 345 horsepower. With a top speed north of 170 miles per hour and 0 to 60 times under 6 seconds, the 928 GTS was no slouch. One of the most impressive aspects of the 928 is its refinement. The car was built for high-speed cruising. It feels planted on the highway, corners with confidence thanks to its Weissach rear axle design, and has one of the smoothest rides in its class. Whether you go with the early 3-speed automatic, later 4-speed automatic, or the preferred 5-speed manual, you're going to get a smooth, confident driving experience. There's something uniquely satisfying about driving a Porsche that purrs at 100 miles per hour without breaking a sweat. So, what's it going to cost to get your hands on one? Well, prices for the 928 vary wildly depending on the year, condition, and trim. Earlier models like the 928 and 928S can still be found relatively affordably, anywhere between $15,000 to $30,000 for a decent example. If you're aiming for the S4 or GT models, expect to pay closer to $30,000 to $50,000. And if you're looking at the GTS, especially with low mileage and in pristine condition, be prepared to spend upwards of $70,000 or more. That's right, 928 GTS values have surged in recent years, with some collector-quality examples going for well over 6 figures at auction. But before you jump in, there are a few things to be aware of. These cars are complex and were ahead of their time, which means maintenance and repair costs can be steep. The electrical systems in particular can be a headache if not properly maintained. Timing belt service is critical, and parts availability, while still decent, is becoming more limited, especially for interior trim and electronics. That said, find a well-maintained example with a good service history, and you've got yourself a reliable, comfortable, and exhilarating GT car that's only going up in value. In many ways, the 928 was a car ahead of its time. It blended comfort, performance, and futuristic design in a way that very few cars of its era could match. While it may never fully escape the shadow of the 911, the 928 deserves recognition as one of the most ambitious and innovative cars Porsche ever built. Whether you're a collector, a driving enthusiast, or just someone who appreciates a unique piece of automotive history, the Porsche 928 is worth a serious look. Let me know in the comments if you'd ever consider owning a 928, or if you already do, what's been your experience. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss more deep dives into the world's most fascinating cars. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Would you like me to format this for a teleprompter or break it into scenes for video editing?